The history of British rule in India is intricately woven with the lives and decisions of the Governor-Generals and Viceroys who governed the subcontinent. These powerful figures left an indelible mark on India, shaping its political, social, and economic landscape. From the establishment of British East India Company rule to the eventual independence of India and Pakistan, their actions continue to resonate today. This essay delves into the lives and legacies of some of the most significant Governor-Generals and Viceroys, examining their key decisions, the challenges they faced, and the lasting impact they had on India's destiny. Their tenures were marked by both progress and conflict, reform and repression. They grappled with complex issues such as maintaining order, expanding British influence, and responding to Indian nationalism. Understanding their actions is crucial to comprehending the complexities of British rule and its profound influence on modern-day India. This exploration of their lives and decisions will shed light on the evolution of British policy in India and its lasting consequences. We will examine their successes and failures, their motivations and the challenges they faced, providing a nuanced perspective on a pivotal period in Indian history. By understanding their actions, we can better grasp the complexities of British rule and its enduring impact on India. Warren Hastings, appointed as the first Governor-General of Bengal in 1773, faced the daunting task of establishing British authority over a vast and diverse territory.
The East India Company, having secured a dominant position through trade and military prowess, needed a capable administrator. Hastings, a shrewd and ambitious man,
centralized administration, reformed the revenue system, and secured the company's frontiers. He faced threats from powerful Indian rulers, including the Marathas and Mysore.
The First Anglo-Maratha War tested Hastings' leadership and the company's military capabilities. Despite challenges, Hastings proved to be a skilled diplomat and administrator.
He recognized the importance of alliances with local rulers and secured the company's interests through diplomacy and military force.
However, Hastings' tenure was marred by controversy. His ruthless pursuit of revenue led to accusations of corruption and abuse of power.
Despite the controversies, Warren Hastings' legacy as a pivotal figure in the establishment of British rule in India remains undisputed. Lord Cornwallis, arriving in India in 1786, inherited a complex web of alliances and rivalries. Cornwallis implemented reforms to strengthen British control.
He reorganized the civil service, paying officials regular salaries to discourage bribery.
The permanent settlement of Bengal in 1793 solidified the position of zamindars as revenue collectors.
Cornwallis's tenure was marked by conflict with Tipu Sultan. The Third Anglo-Mysore War, from 1790 to 1792, culminated in the Treaty of Seringapatam. Tipu Sultan ceded large tracts of territory and paid a hefty indemnity. Cornwallis's reforms and victories left an indelible mark on India.
Lord Wellesley, arriving in India in 1798 with a vision of British paramountcy, implemented policies aimed at expanding British control and eliminating any potential rivals.
Convinced that the company's security depended on eliminating threats from powerful Indian rulers, he pursued an aggressive expansionist policy, employing diplomacy, alliances, and military force to achieve his objectives.
One of Wellesley's key innovations was the doctrine of subsidiary alliances. This policy aimed to bring Indian states under British protection by requiring them to accept the stationing of British troops within their territories and to pay for their upkeep.
The rulers, in return, were promised protection from external threats and internal rebellion. While presented as a mutually beneficial arrangement, the doctrine of subsidiary alliances effectively stripped Indian rulers of their independence, turning them into vassals of the British.
Wellesley's expansionist ambitions inevitably led to conflict. Tipu Sultan, having recovered from his earlier defeat, once again posed a challenge to British power.
The Fourth Anglo-Mysore War in 1799, a short but decisive conflict, resulted in Tipu Sultan's defeat and death at the Battle of Seringapatam.
The fall of Seringapatam and the annexation of Mysore marked a significant victory for the British, eliminating a powerful rival and further consolidating their control over southern India.
Wellesley's tenure witnessed the rapid expansion of British territory and influence. His policies, while controversial, transformed the political landscape of India, effectively establishing British paramountcy.
The doctrine of subsidiary alliances in particular became a cornerstone of British policy, paving the way for the eventual subjugation of most of the Indian subcontinent.
Lord Hastings, assuming the governor-generalship in 1813, inherited an India on the cusp of transformation.
The Maratha Confederacy, a powerful alliance of Maratha chiefs, posed a significant challenge to British dominance in central and western India. Hastings, recognizing the need to address this challenge, adopted a multi-pronged approach, employing diplomacy, alliances, and military force to secure British interests.
The Third Anglo-Maratha War, from 1817 to 1818, a complex conflict fought on multiple fronts, marked a turning point in British-Maratha relations. Hastings, skillfully exploiting divisions within the Maratha Confederacy, forged alliances with key Maratha chiefs, turning them against their own Peshwa.
The war, despite facing stiff resistance from some Maratha forces, ultimately ended in a decisive British victory.
The defeat of the Maratha Confederacy had far-reaching consequences. It removed a major obstacle to British expansion, paving the way for the annexation of vast territories in central and western India.
Hastings, recognizing the importance of consolidating British gains, implemented administrative reforms, reformed the judicial system, and invested in infrastructure projects.
Hastings' tenure also witnessed the expansion of British influence into the Himalayan foothills. He concluded treaties with several hill states, extending British protection and securing strategic passes.
His policies, characterized by a combination of diplomacy and military assertiveness, further consolidated British power, transforming India into a vast colonial possession.
Lord Dalhousie, arriving in India in 1848, brought with him a zeal for modernization and a belief in the inherent superiority of British civilization.
Determined to streamline administration, expand British territory, and introduce modern technologies, he implemented policies that had a profound and lasting impact on India, but also sowed the seeds of discontent that would later lead to rebellion.
One of Dalhousie's most controversial policies was the doctrine of lapse. This doctrine stated that if an Indian ruler died without a male heir, his kingdom would be annexed by the British. The doctrine, widely seen as a pretext for annexation, was used to justify the seizure of several Indian states, including Satara, Jhansi and Nagpur, sparking resentment among the Indian ruling elite.
Dalhousie's tenure witnessed significant infrastructure development. He introduced the telegraph, oversaw the construction of railways, and established the Public Works Department.
These projects, while intended to improve communication, facilitate trade, and strengthen British control, also had unintended consequences. They disrupted traditional economies, displaced local artisans, and fueled resentment against British rule.
Dalhousie's reforms, while driven by a desire to modernize India and make it a more profitable colony, ultimately contributed to the growing unrest that culminated in the Revolt of 1857.
His annexation policies, combined with the social and economic disruptions caused by his modernization drive, alienated key sections of Indian society, setting the stage for a major uprising against British rule.